This is Robots in Disguise Bludgeon. So, Bludgeon is a character that I've just taken to design-wise, like, quite a bit. I just really dig the look. So anytime I see a Bludgeon, I pick it up. And I managed to pick this guy up in a kind of crumbled box for pretty cheap, actually. It was like $4. And he's actually really solid. I'm not going to say he's as good as the new Legacy figure, but I would say if you can't afford the Legacy figure and you come across a cheap version of this one, I actually think he's not a bad swap out. He is a deluxe though, not a Voyager, so he's a bit smaller. Articulation wise, he's not bad. We'll go over that in a second, but just a really nice look to him. He has the samurai look down pretty good. Let's take a look at first some of these sculpting details. To be honest, that face I feel like captures his kind of skull essence pretty good. Like, we got a look kind of fangs sticking out there. It's a little bit of a soft sculpt. There's not like a whole lot of hard detail in there, but it's very serviceable. And I dig this kind of skull chest that he has going on there. We got these big old shoulders. Design-wise, I feel like this works. And so, also these cannons here, they don't have to be placed there. I chose to plug them in here. So you can plug into the back of his head here, and then it kind of rotates with his head. And the other option is you pop that out. Takes a little finesse, a little force. Let me get that. Like I said, just a little finesse. So that pops off. And then on his back here, there's a little storage area. You just put, I guess you peg that right in there. It's kind of a half hole, so it doesn't want to hold too well. But then we lock in place, and then it's storage. I prefer having it cannons forward, but that's kind of a cool look. And then when it comes to his sword, there's not really a sheath on his side. Preferably, it could peg in right here, or kind of over the shoulder. I can't really seem to find anywhere else I could put it. And maybe on the back of his head, that would be weird looking. But on the hip, or on the knee, technically, there's this green spot that almost looks like it's made for that. I don't know if it is. I didn't watch the Robots in Disguise cartoon. Maybe that's how it goes, but it stores there pretty well. But for the most part, you're probably going to display this guy with sword in hand. Let's be honest. Let's pop that in there. And it works just fine. It does have this big protruding piece there so that it can peg into something. I assume the side. But that looks really cool, and he's articulated enough to be able to wield it pretty well. Let's see, I think we can kind of get a two-handed in here. Yeah, anytime you got a sword-wielding character, getting it two-handed is kind of important, so it works, but only like in this one position. I don't think you can get much else out of that. Talking about articulation, let's swap to that real quick. Boop. Starting at the head, we actually have a fair amount, so it transforms kind of backwards, so you can get a backward, upward head motion there. If it's kind of recessed in there. Give me that sword. Let's get that out of there. The doctor is in. Scoop. Come on, man. Make me look like an Idjimigit. Alright. Idjimigrit. Alright. Perfect. So his head does that. It does have full rotation. It's not on a ball joint, though. It's just a straight swivel. So full 360, not terrible. I will point out we also have a hollow head, which is always kind of weird on a figure. I feel like it makes them kind of thoughtless looking, you know. There's a lot of little hollow pieces going on here, but you also have to remember this is a mainline kids toy. So back when this came out, which probably wasn't even long ago, it's probably like $10 or something. Like, this is a cheapo figure, but so far it's holding up pretty well looking at some of the stuff. Shoulders, he does have, let's see, so it's a kind of ratchet joint. Yeah, literally a ratchet joint that goes up and down right there. Then he also has a joint, just a regular joint right there, so that goes outward. So he can get a fair amount, like all the way to the side. That's pretty good. We get a full 360 forward, and then another swivel right above, kind of at the bicep, and then an elbow bend, which is about 90 degrees. No wrist articulation, and that's going to kind of suck if you're getting sword poses in. So that is going to inhibit a little. At his waist, he has some swivel. I think if we move this, yeah, you can get a full 360. Not bad there. No ab crunch or anything, but then he does have hips. And then at the hips here, we have an outward kick, so we can get kind of a, yeah, full split. Get that Van Damme look. Kick forward, real far. A kick backward, a little inhibited by this skirt. And then, let's see, the knee bend, we get a little past 90 degrees, which is definitely good. I'd say there's a lot of figures that don't get that 90 degree, especially mainline stuff, so that's a win. This kneecap part is movable, so it's kind of interesting. I guess that's if you're displaying, you could move it forward instead of having it all the way down. I don't know. Or it's also just for the transformation, so who cares? Ankles, this is another part where it kind of falls on his face. Well, if I de-transform, maybe a little. Come on, we can wiggle something out of this, right? It almost looks like it's supposed to have some articulation at the ankles, but nah. But he does stand pretty solid on those feet, even moving around some positions. It's not like the little pedal feet that we got with like that more recent Sideswipe figure. It's pretty solid, chonky feet, so he stands pretty well. So that's the articulation. Let's take a look at the transformation real quick. Now here we are all transformed, and I really dig this look. Like, that's a solid tank. And you know what? The transformation's pretty neat, pretty intuitive. A lot of parts just kind of pop into place. You can do it without any instructions. I did. It's fairly easy, and overall it does change quite a bit, and it doesn't just look like it's a lot of robot parts sticking out, but I will say the hand sticking out on the back, that would be probably the biggest, most notable part. That plus the giant noggin upside down hanging off the top. Not a bad vehicle mode though. Let me pull back a little here. We've got working wheels. We've got a cannon that rotates and can move up and down. I can't see much else that you would need there, so it doesn't look like a real tank, but I feel like Bludgeon normally doesn't. He's always kind of some sort of sci-fi tank in some way. Let's transform him back real quick and take a look at a comparison between him and the Legacy one that I have. So here's our comparison. So here we've got the kiddo version, and here we've got the big boy version. Now, honestly, the Legacy one does everything better, fully understanding that he is a more expensive and higher quality class figure. Being a Voyager, being fully retooled and more modernized, he is a better figure. But this figure being a kid's toy and older, it's actually really cool, and he holds up quite a bit. If you're a fan of Bludgeon, I would say definitely it doesn't hurt to have him in your collection. Especially if you have, kind of keep a lot of deluxe kiddo figures around. Definitely he can fit into those scenarios pretty well. I don't know, I just really dig this guy. He's, I will say his colors aren't as vibrant too as the Legacy one. That kind of sucks. If his orange was a little more deep, a little less pale looking, if the reds were a little more red, it would all pop a little bit better, just like that Legacy guy. But that being said, this guy's not bad. I really dig him. And for a good price, you know, I can't complain. Tell me what you guys think about them. Tell me if you think that they're compared in any way, if I'm wrong for even putting them in comparison, because they're just completely not the same at all. But yeah, just let me know what you think.